Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! It's so nice to hear all these nice reviews of the Place to Be music video long after its premiere a couple of months back. I'm your host, Jonathan Clarke. Thank you so much for watching this video this afternoon. I am the voice of Descendants and Zombies, here to tell you that it's okay to stay calm and zombie on, and one can believe that they can too fall in love with a zombie forever and always. I say this because that's what the Descendants and Zombies franchise is represented for forever, an eternity of love and respect, second chances to stand up for what you believe in, and that dreams in fact can come true. It's so nice that people who are fans of the Zombies franchise are still giving the music video Place to Be a lot of praise. I love that so much about these fans, how they never quit on who and what they believe in. And obviously Zed and Addison were characters they never quit on, and they always believed in. So I want to give them props for doing that, because while all these critics jumped down the throats of the writers and producers of the Place to Be music video, you guys never quit on what you believed in. And I am a testament to that, because you never quit on me. When you could have subscribed to anybody else's YouTube channel, you subscribed here. And some of the very first subscribers that I've ever put up on this YouTube channel and have seen are still here. And I just want to say thank you so much from my heart to yours. A dream is a wish that only your heart can make, and you guys have been wishing on Zombie Star for forever, and it's been like a shooting star, because we've seen over 250 million hours of stream time on both Disney Channel and Disney Plus collectively. That's amazing for Zombies, just behind Descendants with a rating of 6.2. That's not even a 0.2 of a percentage, separating it by just 6.4 of a margin. That's incredible. You guys have every reason to be proud of yourselves, and I just want to say thank you so much for the love and support you have shown Zombies, a franchise that received its fair share of criticism, but was believed in so much by Meg Donnelly and Milo Manheim that they brought those characters Zed and Addison to places they never thought possible, and brought them to life in a way that no other actress or actor could have done as a duet. The very first duet was seen in Zombies. It was called Someday, a song about how a zombie and a girl could fall in love for forever, and how zombies and humans could coexist in one world with no need of a barrier separating the two of them. And we got to that point. Not only did we get to that point, but we saw the introductions of not only zombies, but werewolves, aliens, and now vampires by Zombies 4 down to the vampires. Actually two groups, daywalkers and nightwalkers, separating the two. Vampires that can exist in the daylight, and vampires that can also exist in the nighttime. Very simple concept, but really cool, because there was a conflict, of course, presented for the blood fruit, and a war that broke out because of it, and there's going to be Zombies 5 now with this vortex. We're wondering what's inside of that, what kind of music will introduce us to the mermaid. That's going to be really cool, too, when you think about it. You know, what kind of music will introduce us to the mermaids, and what kind of songs, what kind of melodies will be put behind it. We've heard Under the Sea from the Little Mermaid era. So will they do something like that? Will they make a remake of Under the Sea? That would be cool. You know, I have a friend who doesn't even believe that crab in the Little Mermaid movie is actually Jamaican. He's from New York, and he doesn't believe that the crab is actually Jamaican. Who doesn't know the crab is Jamaican in The Little Mermaid? I've always believed that mermaids are very beautiful, very innocent creatures that are very unpredictable on times and should never ever be taken for granted, because they can also be very vengeful, and they will never forget what you did to them. So that makes them the perfect supernatural creatures to see their premiere in the Zombies franchise. It's been a long time coming, and I think a lot of people are really excited about it. But the reviews of the Place to Be music video are still raving in, and people are still talking about it. The Disney fan page for Zombies just recently threw up a behind-the-scenes retrospective look at the making of the Place to Be music video. There was also a very powerful music video for Don't Mess With Us and Legends in the Making, which was also very popular for the Zombies 4 soundtrack. It was the first soundtrack to separate itself from any other soundtrack previously for Zombies to present a Hannah Montana Camp Rock vibe. I think I got that right. But it's a very different sound from Hannah Montana and Camp Rock, because I think every song eventually sounded the same for the Camp Rock movies, and of course the Hannah Montana series, and the time that it spent on top of the Disney Channel charts, because the songs were very different from the other Zombies movies, and really different from Descendants. Now obviously, yes, the music in Descendants is better than Zombies, but the music for Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires, is in a category of its own, and it will never ever be replaced. Now of course the torch has been passed from Meg Donnelly and Milo Manheim's characters, but there was no better way for them to go out than to go out on top. Everybody dreams of going out on top. I myself have dreamed about going out down in history for being a goat, and the greatest of all time. And you guys can make that happen by hitting the subscribe button and the like button for this YouTube channel. I would love for you to subscribe to this YouTube channel and be a part of this incredible journey that you girls have me on, because there's still a long way for me to go. And this next year is going to be really exciting for fans of Descendants 5 Wicked Wonderland, because we still have a long way to go with this story, and so much of a story left to be told, which makes for a very unpredictable time to be a fan of Descendants and zombies, because we've seen so much already happened in the Descendants franchise. What's left to be seen? Well, when it comes to zombies, we know there are so many supernatural creatures that could be in that vortex besides mermaids. There's been discussion of sirens. There have been discussions of pirates. There's even been discussions of witches thrown into the mix too. And take it from a fan who's been a fan of supernatural for forever. It could be anything inside of that vortex. We've just got a 3-year window release to wait on to be revealed of what's inside of that vortex. I am very excited about it. But I would not recommend to anybody to get involved in vampire slaying or slaying of witches or zombies, because it's quite difficult. And that's why I'm wearing a black shirt today, because I just came in through my window after last night's graveyard shift, which never gets easy. The Zombies 4 Down in the Vampires movie inspired us that dreams could happen for anybody. And one could find true love no matter what form you find it in, or for whatever circumstance you find true love, or whatever's wrong with a person. Because two people can coexist in a world and can really fall in love no matter what their bizarre circumstances could be. You take, for instance, Zed and Addison, a girl falling in love with a zombie. You know, in real life, we think that's kind of weird. But now, because of Zombies and Descendants, we think that's perfectly normal. And I honestly think that's really cool. You know, Zombies inspired me so much that I would move into a home near a soda plantation and a chemical plant and shoot a podcast every morning of my life. And I have had no regrets. I love doing it. I think the duets between Zed and Addison's characters were very powerful, and this duet called Dream Come True from the Zombies 4 soundtrack portrayed by Malachi Burton and Freya Sky was very powerfully done. I saw on the Worlds Collide tour how they did a cover of Someday that was originally written for the Zed and Addison characters, and they did a fabulous job with that, of course, because Meg Donnelly and Mila Manhelm were a part of the tour. That was to be expected because they had passed the torch now to Malachi Burton and Freya Sky, who were a part of the tour, so it made perfect sense for them to opt out. But I think certain songs, even though they did a fabulous job with it, were written for two specific characters, and a song like Someday was really written specifically for Zed and Addison's characters to really set the tone for what Zombies was going to be for the next 7 years. And I remember watching the very first Zombies movie and being completely enthralled. You know, it was just around the time that Marvel was seeing its introduction into the Disney universe and the multiverse stuff was being introduced, and a lot of people were really upset about that, but I was all there for it, just as I was all there for a sci-fi musical surrounding itself around zombies, because Zombies has such a legendary history based off suicide and Roman times, so I was all there for it. You know, I was never the biggest fan of Zombies until this. Nothing that Zombies ever did with entertainment really appealed to me. I'm talking about The Walking Dead. I'm talking about every horror survival video game that one could play, from The Last of Us to Days Gone to Dead by Daylight. I played them all. So when you talk about TV shows and movies and video games, this was it for me. And I've been a fan of Zombies ever since. And I'm here to tell you that there's nothing wrong with being a fan of Zombies, because tens of millions of people are supportive of Descendants and Zombies. The only ones who aren't are these critics, who I really want to kick the ass of for how they say such horrible things and give Zombies such a horrible review without even giving it much of a chance. I think that if you're someone who doesn't give it much of a chance, you're just pretty much looking for the negative vibe to be presented with Zombies because you think it's funny, or you haven't got anything else rather better to talk about on your show. This is why this YouTube channel is one of the most revered when it comes to Descendants and Zombies. It's revered because the guy hosting the show believes in Descendants and Zombies just as much as his audience does. And I think that's incredibly beautiful, because you guys have showed me that you're incredibly supportive of me and my opinions about Descendants and Zombies and my analogies, which really has allowed this show to catapult and be blown out of the water, with no disrespect to the mystery behind the Vortex by Zombies 5. A lot of people have suggested rumors, crazy theories of how they could change the title from Zombies, be it that Zed is no longer the lead. I kind of concur with that. They're suggesting Dawn of the Vampires 2 or something along those lines, although it has yet to be confirmed. I would go for Zombies 5. Why? Because that's what we remember Zombies for having been. Zombies 1, Zombies 2, Zombies 3. Then from somewhere out of nowhere, here comes Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires, without any explanation whatsoever. You want to know how I found out about Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires in its production and development? One night I just randomly Googled it. because I heard rumors about it. I'd never read anything up to that point. And one night I just randomly Googled it when Kylie Cantrell and Malia Baker and Meg Donnelly were refraining from Googling this up because they were afraid of what they could find. And then up popped Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires. And I said, this looks really cool. There was no visuals, no videos of it at that point. It was just, reviews that were being written of expectation. And I said, this sounds really cool. Vampires, seeing their introduction into Seabrook, into the plot. How is this plot going to be interesting? As if it wasn't already more interesting with aliens and werewolves being introduced by Zombies 2 and 3. And the introduction of Zed and Addison's characters in Zombies 1 and how one could fall in love with a zombie forever and always. I thought there were a lot of emotional moments in Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires, about how Zed was going to zombie out forever, but he still loved Addison no matter what. It was really cool how they stayed together forever in that movie, and there was no confliction. By Zombies 2, they broke up. They didn't want to see eye to eye anymore, but they resolved their differences, and I was heartbroken. Zombies 3, of course, Addison discovers her origin as being an alien. I've always wanted to be abducted by aliens, but never succeeded the opportunity to do it. And take it from a guy who's been trying to get abducted by aliens ever since he was 15 years old. It is extremely difficult to do it, so you should refrain from doing it. One should refrain from getting abducted by aliens if you know the chances aren't as great as some people. I've been trying to ever since I was 15. It never gets easy. But I really appreciate how Zed's character, of course, was so supportive of Addison. And no matter what she wanted to do in these franchises, he was all there for it. No matter how much confliction and how many times they broke up through Zombies to Zombies 3, he was so supportive of her because he loved her. And I think that if more guys understood a girl's appreciation and value in this life and what she wanted to get the most out of life, I think that more people will be appreciative of their relationship, and more relationships will turn out for the better instead of breaking up after 3 days or 3 weeks or 3 months. It seems like, every relationship from the get-go is so perfect. But when you really sit back and put it into perspective, was it really worth all the sacrifices that you made? It's very hard to come across a genuine person and a genuine couple these days. And when you come across it and you realize you have it, you have to do everything you can to keep it. And that's what Zombies has instilled in our minds. That even so, sometimes it seems very difficult to have a genuine relationship that can last eternity. It is possible for everybody. That's what Zombies represented. It represented second chances. Because you take me, for example. I'm a podcast host that nobody ever heard tell of years ago, and now all of a sudden I'm famous overnight because I talk about Descendants and Zombies. All it took was for me to fall into a specific niche, and for me to attract that niche with hundreds of Descendants and Zombies videos. Now because I did it, seemingly I've become famous overnight. I was famous before this, but nobody had ever heard tell of me and my opinions on video games and TV shows and movies, which I love to talk about, but it wasn't going anywhere. And you girls brought me back to life. You gave me a second chance, back from the proverbial dead. With no disrespect to The Walking Dead or Zombies Ate My Neighbors, the video game, or The Last of Us, the video game, or TV shows like The Vampire Diaries or True Blood. You really did bring me back from the dead and gave me a second chance. And I feel so honored to be able to sit behind this podcast microphone and talk about Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires with you. I felt so honored to be a part of the premiere. I saw the red carpet premiere and how Meg Donnelly looked fabulous. I loved how Freya Skye looked too in her gown. They showed themselves to be very strong individuals. Now, that's how the media wants to perceive you, for being a strong, confident individual. But I think these stars of the Zombies franchise showed up with the intention of being strong regardless of how the media chose to perceive them. Because I think Meg Donnelly is a person that I can use as an example who really doesn't care what anybody thinks of her. Maybe at one point, perhaps, with her battles of anxiety and depression and struggles with panic attacks, I think that she cared at one point what people may have thought of her, but no longer. And now that she's sitting behind the camera for Zombies, the franchise, I think she's going to offer more. Herself and Milo will do a fabulous job offering creative direction with this, because that's something I've always wanted to do and be a part of. The development process of a franchise. Because it's one thing to be a part of it, but to know that you help create it and assist people who were just trying to make a name for themselves in the Disney company and the Disney universe, like Milo Manheim and Meg Donnelly did at one point in their life, now offering it to Freya Skye and Malachi Burton, who I believe firmly are going to do a fabulous job. When I first laid eyes on Freya Skye, it was years ago, and I knew she had something special to offer the Zombies franchise. At that point, we didn't know it was going to be zombies. But I think Victor and Nova's characters are going to do a fabulous job. Very different, I will admit to you, from Zed and Addison's characters. A very different vibe, with, of course, Freya Skye being of English descent and Malachi Burton being an American. So there's a long way to go with this franchise after the introductions have been seen and the torch was passed in no particular fashion or no particular order or for no particular reason. Just because Zed and Addison were stepping down and moving behind the camera. I think that this future of the Zombies franchise is one to be really excited about. And I'm really excited to read the reviews of Zombies 5 by the time it happens. And you're saying to yourself, hey, Jonathan Clarke, you've got to make a lot of Zombies videos so Zombies 5 can come faster, so it can happen for us. I know, but you got to give me time. And we've got to give this franchise time to develop. Because if we were seeing a new movie once every year, you got to wonder, would the plot be as interesting? Would it be as fun to watch? Would it be as exciting for everybody who was a fan of Descendants and Zombies? I've often wondered that. So if you're seeing a movie released once every 350 to 365 days, you're going to be let down a lot more than you would as opposed to 2 or 3 years. So the release windows for Zombies have always been acceptable to me, 2 to 3 years, and Zombies 4, of course, had the longest release window from 2019 to 2025. So it's been a long time since the Zombies movie was created, so you had 4 years in between the release of Zombies 3 and Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires. And what did you get out of it? What did you take away from it? A better movie with better music, better development, more time. Because time is the most precious commodity. I've said this a lot on my show, because the thing about time is time always runs out. It never lasts forever. So because you allow more time for development, you get a better movie in the end. And Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires ultimately became the best of the franchise. That's more than we can say at this point for Zombies 5. Because, again, we don't know what was inside of the vortex, but it makes for a very interesting plot by the time it's revealed. And I, for one, am really excited about it to see just where we go from here. Because there's so much of a story to be told about supernatural characters that haven't even seen their introduction into the Zombies franchise. I can think of another title, Zombies 5, Dawn of the Vampires 2. That would be a really cool title because it would open up the door to have more emphasis on the vampires, which had a lot of detail given to them in Zombies 4. But again, more of a story could be told and give more people more of a reason to be excited and to become fans of the franchise. Because I really do believe that the reason why people are still watching Zombies in their teens when they were watching it ever since they were 7 or 8 years old is because the music got better, the plot got better, it was more interesting, and it was more appealing to a lot of people, and more people now are standing up for what they believe in. More people are stronger now, and I give Zombies a profound amount of credit for being able to do that. The reason why I don't choose to come on here and criticize Zombies and the fans is because I have no business doing it, and I believe in Zombies just as much as each and every one of you because I know what it's like to be you. I know what it's like to feel lost. I know what it feels to be not accepted. I know what it feels to be a fan of Descendants and Zombies and see yourself through the eyes of these characters. And I've taken great pride in creating these videos for each and every one of you because I am a firm believer that this franchise still has a long way to go and its best years yet to be witnessed, and I'm excited to be a part of it. Even if it is 3 or 4 years between now and Zombies 5, that will give me time to get more subscribers on this YouTube channel, to create more great videos about Descendants and Zombies every day for the rest of my life, which I intend on doing. And you're saying to yourself, hey, Jonathan Clarke, do you really think you can pump out that many Descendants and Zombies videos for the rest of your life? Sure I can. If one's going to create great Descendants and Zombies videos, that's all he's got to do, is believe in the franchise enough to create enough great Descendants and Zombies videos for you. Because that's what you deserve. You don't deserve to be coming on here reading reviews of your favorite Descendants and Zombie stars, how this person feels about Malachi Burton's portrayal of the character Victor, how this person feels about Freya Sky's portrayal of the character Nova, because a lot of it is just negative reviews and a real negative vibe that I've kind of wanted to eliminate. I've kind of wanted to take it away from the people who love it so much, because there are tens of millions of people who really do love and feel inspired, who draw inspiration from the Zombies franchise. So should one be criticizing it? No. I think one should find more positive things to say about it, post it on their YouTube channel, and see how many likes and subscribers they get because of it. I'm not here to review Descendants and Zombies in a negative way, because more than enough people are already doing that. I want to be the best Descendants and Zombies YouTube channel on the internet, just as I wanted to be the best podcast host for forever. For really all of my life, ever since I was 13 years old, this is all I've ever known. This is all I've ever done. I was a journalist for pro wrestling. It didn't work out the way I wanted it to. I was a journalist for the entertainment industry, the video game world. It didn't work out the way I wanted it to. And this was the first niche that accepted me for who I was, who didn't care what I looked like, who didn't care what my opinion was, as long as I created great videos about what they loved. And as so it turns out, it was Descendants and Zombies. And we're in this together. That's the way I look at it. So if we're going down together. And there's no better niche that I would rather die with an alien mothership on its way to Earth reportedly in 110 days to kill us all, than all of you guys. And I just want to put it out there, take a moment to speak to this alien mothership. You're never going to take us alive, because I'm going to kick your ass. And the reason why I say that is because I have so many incredibly supportive fans of Descendants and Zombies who have been by my side for forever. So if you're gonna take them, you're gonna take me. But you're not gonna take them over my dead body, alien mothership. I am ready to die for these people who have supported this YouTube channel for forever. So if anyone's getting their ass kicked, it's that alien mothership. I just want to put that out there. And I want to instill in your minds for forever and always that I'm here to do anything but take your hopes and dreams away from you about what you have for this franchise and what you have to look forward to. Because way too many people are doing that. And I think way too many people have gotten away with doing that for what feels like forever. You know, I've got one more podcast left before I sign up for the night, in its entirety, a total of 4. That will be later on tonight. And I can't wait to join you for another retrospective look at zombies because I love talking about it. And if I didn't love talking about it, well, then I wouldn't be here. My purpose would be shut down. But the thing is, you guys have given me incentive to create these beautiful videos for you, to offer you videos of encouragement and incentive. There is no better feeling in the world as a podcast host to be able to come on this podcast and talk about Descendants and Zombies in a way that is meaningful to each and every one of you, how you feel inspired from these videos, because there really is such a thing as a second chance. And for those of you who don't believe in second chances, well, maybe you need to really take a step back and put your life into perspective, because I know there are people out there that don't believe in a second chance, that a dream can't happen for you. But that's the thing about time. With the time we're allocated, it's all about how we spend that time. Should we spend it with more people that we love? Should we spend it around the people we love and tell them we love them more? Should we go back in time to fix our mistakes? Because we only have enough time in this world to really make count. So with the time we have allocated to us, there's no better way to spend it than to spend it with each and every one of you, talking about Descendants and Zombies in the way that it's been meant to be talked about for what feels like forever. I mean, I could be one of those critics that just really tears down Descendants and Zombies, but I don't want to have to do that. I'd much rather be here for you in support of Descendants and Zombies and your favorite stars, because they have cried enough. They have felt pain and hurt enough, and they have felt pain and hurt from all the reviews that zombies have been receiving. I mean, yes, people, sit in front of them on these shows on TV and on YouTube, talking about them with all smiles on their faces, but are they saying the same things about them after the show is over, after the cameras stop rolling? And one has to wonder if Meg Donnelly and Mila Manheim really want to have these happy faces on their faces being told what they can and can't say. That's why they pursue creative freedom. And this is something that I've wanted to bestow on the Descendants and Zombie stars for forever, because they deserve to have creative freedom. They don't deserve to have their hopes and dreams tore down from pretty much out of everything they've done. Now all of a sudden they can't say what they want and how they feel about the Descendants and Zombies franchises. At least as producers, and now sitting behind the camera, they're going to be able to do that and talk about Descendants and Zombies in a whole new light, rather than being told what they can and can't say, which is really horrible. It's really been an honor for me to be able to sit behind this podcast microphone and to have reviewed Descendants and Zombies the way that I have. There's no other place in the world I would rather be than in the company of each and every one of you, talking about what you love, which is Descendants and Zombies. And if I go down in history for being a goat and having been the voice of Descendants and Zombies, which many of you believe I will go down in history for having been because of your help, there's no greater honor that I would ever want to have bestowed upon me, because there are a lot of shows out there that do devote their time to talking about Descendants and Zombies, and sometimes I feel as if they don't really have any business talking about the franchises the way that they have. I want you to know my heart is in this for you, and my heart is into Descendants and Zombies because I love it just as much as each and every one of you have proudly said that you do. So I have no place to come on here and review it in such a negative way. If anything, I'm going to show up and I'm going to talk about Descendants and Zombies in the way it was meant to be talked about, even if that means posting 500 videos on a YouTube channel, attracting thousands of subscribers and thousands of likes. I would love to have 50,000 likes and 50,000 subscribers and have as many subscribers as Mr. Beast and start up my own restaurant. That window looks like the perfect drive-through window, does it not? I could serve thousands of orders of noodles through that. Start up my own noodle chain. But I haven't got monetized yet, so I'm a long way from doing that. But I've never ever cared about being monetized. What I've cared about is you and your opinions on Descendants and Zombies, which you've shared with me. We've shared stories about each other's lifetime and experiences. And I've had many experiences that can relate to Descendants and Zombies. More of them I will share with you tonight. Because the one thing about being a YouTube creator is you just don't talk about Descendants and Zombies. You have to bring it to life in a way that nobody else out there who creates these videos are able to do, even if it means telling stories that remind you of Descendants and Zombies based off your personal experiences. That's why I spend a lot of time on this show talking about myself in relation to Descendants and Zombies, because I sometimes feel like I'm a part of the cast. I've always wanted to kick the shit out of a bunch of zombies and just live life to the fullest. And no one's going to criticize me for that, or at least I hope not. It's been a joy of mine to be able to sit behind this podcast microphone and to have talked about Descendants and Zombies in a way it's been meant to be talked about for what feels like forever. And I've always wanted to encourage you that one should never, ever give up on their hopes and dreams. Because when you do give up on your hopes and dreams, well, pretty much all hope is lost. And you're surrounded by darkness and smoke that you can't make sense of. But the thing about you guys is you've always been my beacon of light that have helped me make sense of everything. And I can't thank you enough for that. It's so nice to know that people feel so highly about Descendants and Zombies as much as what they do, and they never ever quit on me. I love you guys so much. With that having been said, I will be back just after sunset tonight with another great video for you guys, which I hope you will join me for. With that having been said, stay calm and zombie on. Keep kindness in your heart, as I will keep you in mine. We will talk again in just a few hours from now, because kindness really does go a long way in this world.